I think it's interesting to note that only a few people worked on the effects in this film. And when you watch it, it feels like a really, effects heavy movie. Hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a director living in Taiwan, and today I want to talk about the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by the Daniels. So as much of a meme or a gimmick as this might sound, this movie really is kind of about everything. I don't know if you've been following online or read into it a little, but a lot of people are reacting to a lot of different aspects of the movie. And I think that this movie means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I personally don't believe that a movie can be spoiled, but I do believe with this movie, if you hear someone else's interpretation of it, it might kind of influence the way you think about it. And I think something that's really special about this film is that when you go into it and you see it, kind of what you take out of it and what it means should be personal to you. So I think that if you haven't seen the movie, you should watch the movie first before you watch this review, and then you can come back and check it out. So the themes of this film cover a wide range of topics such as immigration, the meaning of existence, the universe, compassion, love, anal play. But for me, as an aging millennial, the thing that really resonated with me was how to cope with a feeling of lost potential. To me, that was the theme of the film that felt like it was the most relevant to me and the most important to me. So since you've seen the film, that it's a movie about a woman named Evelyn who's being audited by the Internal Revenue Service. She's an owner of a laundromat and her life didn't turn out the way that she wanted it to. But she discovers that there is access to the multiverse, basically, where she could go to any dimension that she wants to, and she can learn things from her other selves. So this idea of a multiverse is very interesting because it's basically that every decision you make branches a new reality and a new universe. So if you turn left instead of right, that's a new reality. If you chew gum instead of not, that's a new reality. And you've probably heard of it because it's a pretty overused sci-fi trope at this point. I mean, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out at the same time as this, and they're literally next to each other on the marquee. So it's kind of this idea that feels a little bit overused. But the thing that makes this movie so special and so different and feels so unique, even though it is about this idea of a multiverse, which we've seen many times, is that it's not really focusing on the scientific aspect of it. It's focusing more on the personal idea of it. And the personal emotions that will come up if you discover that a multiverse exists. Basically, you become privy to the knowledge that you were right in your feelings that if you had done something different, your life could be different, and that you could be rich and famous and happy if you had just done something a little different, or made a different decision, or traveled somewhere else, or stayed where you were, or kept that job, or left that job. And so this feeling really elicits this powerful emotion of your lost potential. There really is another reality out there where you're happy and you have everything that you want. And the fact that you don't in this reality is kind of your own fault. As I was sitting and watching this film, the idea of regret also personally hit me in a really kind of unique way because I went to college with the Daniels, actually. For me, watching the film, the theme of lost potential kind of quite literally smacked me in the face because there it is. People that had the exact same opportunities as me, and they have made this, huge multi-million-dollar film that's on screens all around the world, and, I'm sitting in the theater watching it and, wanting to do that same thing but not being able to achieve it at the same level that they are. And so that, in a way, could make you feel a little depressed. But the great thing about this movie is that even for me, with this kind of personal feeling about it, it didn't make me feel that way at all. In fact, for one, I really like them and I think that I'm really happy for their success. But the other thing about it is that the themes of the film are basically about convincing you not to lose hope, even though this is the case. Because for me, the main point of the film, the main thesis, the main theme, is a rejection of the idea that there is such a thing as a wrong universe to be in. Even though you make the wrong turn and you lose all this different potential, greatness that you could have had, you're still in the right place and there still is happiness to be had. As millennials, we're told that we could achieve anything and, basically have every opportunity. We're told that we're special. We're told that all of our lives and our dreams, are possible. We're kind of one of the first, I suppose, that got that experience from our parents. And of course, these dreams didn't turn out the way that we thought they would. because if you're told that you can have everything, that's an impossibility. And so then because we don't achieve everything, we feel like that we've lost all of this, even though, we have so much. So like joy in the film, this kind of regret turns into this intense nihilism, this feeling that even though we can travel to any universe we want, we can do all these things, we can go anywhere, we can see anything, we can know everything, we still don't feel fulfilled because we don't feel like we have everything that we want. And that result is that we feel empty and useless, and that life is pointless and useless. So where does the hope kind of come into this? Well, the climax of the film reminds us that the point of existence isn't to have everything and know everything. The point of existence is that even in the worst possible timeline, in a timeline where we run a laundromat and we're being audited by the IRS, there is still so much beauty and love and fulfillment that we can find in the moments that we experience, because that path is a unique path to us, and all these little unique moments that we experience are unique to that version of us. And so we can choose to lament all of the unique moments that we're missing out on, or we can celebrate the ones that we do experience. And that's a pretty cool thing. So this film, like many modern works, kind of embraces its cinematic influence. It's a bit like Tarantino in that respect. It gives us shots and moments from all the films that have clearly influenced the Daniels as directors, such as In the Mood for Love, Hong Kong Kung Fu flicks, Looney Tunes, Ratatouille. And I think this intentional blending of stylistic influence kind of is a commentary on how media at this point is really just feels like a copy of everything else, like everything's been done already. Like I read one smart-ass reviewer saying that, I've seen this shot before, like I don't understand what's so special about this movie because I've seen it before. But that's kind of the way that artists work, is that we take all of these influences that we've had and we blend them together into something new. The only credible thing to do as an artist in the modern day is to utilize all these influences in a fun and unique way and kind of put them together in something that is your own. But that's not to say that this doesn't create a unique style that the Daniels have. I think only they can kind of pull off the insanity that happens in this movie, where you have all of this crazy stuff happening and you have somebody beating somebody to death with a dildo and make it work and make it funny. And one of the most impressive things to me about their style is that the Daniels can make a film feel both big budget but also kind of retain this DIY charm. I think it's interesting to note that only a few people worked on the effects in this film. And when you watch it, it feels like a really, effects heavy movie. There's a lot of different kind of cool things that you see happen in the film. And I think that the reason that it works so well and it's so fun is because of the fact that only a few people worked on it. It's not 1,000 people chained to computers working all day and they just spray the money hose on any kind of effect that they want to create. This, you can tell that they put a lot of thought into how they were going to perform the different things that they make. And that is, I think, a feature of the Daniels as directors, is that they really do take this kind of effect-heavy aesthetic, but they make it feel very DIY and very kind of tactile, even though a lot of it's done with computers. That to me is kind of the secret sauce of what makes effects cool, is if you can, when you watch it, you can tell that a lot of thought and planning was put into it. And that's something that they do really well. Some people say, CGI is kind of bad and they would like practical effects. Well, I think it's not really about CGI versus practical effects, in my opinion. What I think it is that you need to see that there was energy and effort put into it. And a lot of times practical effects has that and CGI doesn't. CGI is kind of like an afterthought of, we'll just do it in post and we'll make some kind of big universe like, Thor kind of weird world that they create in a computer, and they didn't really consider how it was gonna blend in with the rest of the world. Whereas when the Daniels create something, I kind of listen to them talk about how they did some of the effects, and you can tell that they planned a lot of it out beforehand. They were talking about how, one of the sequences where she floats through all the multiverses. At the beginning of the production process, Daniel Kwan walked around all these cities with a pocket camera and filmed all the backgrounds that he was going to use. Then they put LED screens up when they shot the sequence on green screen. So I think a lot of cool stuff like that. it really shows, and it really kind of comes out of the film when you watch it as an audience member. And that's a really cool feature of them as directors. I mean, if you watch the film Pockets, which I'll put a link to in the description, that they made, which is one of their early works, you can really see it's a effects-heavy film, it's computer-generated stuff, but it's when you watch it, you can see the planning that went into it, and that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it really connect with the audience. So Everything Everywhere All at Once was shot for around $15 million, making it a mid-budget film. You know, famously, the mid-range budget art film has kind of disappeared from cinemas because it's thought to be kind of one of the most risky investments that a studio can make. You know, a low-budget film has low risk. A high-budget film maybe has a little bit of a higher risk, but because usually, you know, it has a lot of advertising budget and it's kind of a Marvel film or something that people are anticipating, the potential that it's going to lose is very low, even though a lot of money was put into it. So the probability that the return on investment will be there is pretty high. But the mid-range film is kind of in this weird middle ground. This movie is a mid-range film. It's created by A24. It's like a weird art film, but it was able to gross. It's A24's highest grossing movie of all time. So it kind of goes to show that there is value in the mid-range, mid-budget film, and especially like a weird, cool, fun art film like this one. You know, apparently it was only given 10 screens to start, and because of how much audiences enjoyed it, then it was given a wide release and it was released all over the world. I was able to see it here in Taiwan. And I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that this weird arty film that isn't based on pre-existing IP, isn't a comic book movie, you know, it's weird, it's fun. It was given a wide studio release. I think it's cool that A24 took a chance on that, and I think it's cool that audiences are responding to that. And I don't think that one movie is going to kind of change the cinema landscape, but I would hope that more studios see the success of this movie and they think, you know, we can put kind of a weird movie in a theater, we can put kind of a mid-range art movie in a theater, and we can make money on it. So I think that that's pretty cool that they did that. I think not only is Everything Everywhere All at Once a great movie based on its themes, not only is it fun and cool to watch based on its techniques, but it also has some implications for the movie industry as a whole about what is possible, and maybe it could even save the theater viewing experience. So I know that's a lot of pressure to put on one movie. It's a lot of pressure to put on these directors, the Daniels, who are cool guys. But, you know, I think that this movie is up to the task, and I think you should check it out. It's a great movie. Let me know if you want to see me review anything else. Write it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.